All right, so let's see if this works. Here we go. So, hi everyone. Playing the Stanley Parable again, and this time I wanted to make sure. Yes. So, game actually has a couple of things that happen in the beginning. It was actually a fairly lengthy series of missives in the beginning that I missed. I missed catching on stream the first time, but let's see if anything happens this time. I want to say he said I could just put in my favorite time, but I don't really have a favorite time, so I'm just gonna put what time it is. Also, I have a very noisy cat that wants attention. Yes, you don't eat that. That's the microphone. Favorite time of day? Sure, why not? It's actually not a bad time considering usually work's done by then. I can relax. Would you simply not resist giving me the correct time again? A little column A, a little column B. I know how much you enjoy setting the time correctly. I'm curious how accurate 9:30 p.m. is. Let's use another slider to find out. It's pretty accurate. I think I clicked onto 9:30 right as it became 9:30, so that should be right on the money. You know, can I just say, regardless of the accuracy of the clock, I'm having a great time adjusting these settings. I feel like I'm learning more about you and how you like things to be set. It's good to collect data. Wish we had more sliders, but we've gone through all the sliders I have. Perhaps I can invent some new sliders to gather new data on you. Shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, let me whip a couple new ones up. Should be ready by the next time you boot up the game. Alright then. That was a thing. So, in case you missed the first stream, we started on Stanley Parable, which wasn't called the Stanley Parable 2 when I started playing Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, but has now since become the Stanley Parable 2, apparently. A lot of wacky things have happened. Yeah, just go watch the first stream, really. Like, there's way too much happened to fully try and give a brief explanation of it. So I'm not going to. I'm going to say just, yeah, go watch the first stream. I will turn all of these into YouTube videos or highlights or whatever, so they won't go away. You'll be able to catch them if you're watching this in the future. So yeah, I'm just going to jump back into it. When we left off, we'd gone through a number of new passageways and experiences, and now we seem to be back in the
This is the story of a man named
game.
Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big
things are a little
building
different.
where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Yep.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, Frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
So, yeah.
All of his
may have
coworkers
noticed.
were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
There's a few new things around the office.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
It's got a little celebratory in here. Also, this thing.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
So I don't think this was here in the original, but I don't know why it's here. Because just go around to the other side of it, so I'm not really sure what this being here does. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out. But yeah, so at the end of the last stream, I went through one of the original game's pathways, but with this bucket in hand, and changed a few things. It was pretty funny. So I get the feeling that this is what we're doing now, is we're revisiting some of the original
the bucket tightly
pathways.
to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Now with 100% more bucket. So, you know, and several 100% more balloons. I don't know. It's not really how that works, but whatever. I think it's time.
This was the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
I figure it's time to do one of the ones I haven't done yet. I've done a couple of them this way previously at the beginning.
Being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
Right, that's enough of that.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
I think it's time to go this way.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Well, this is different.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet.
Oh, God.
Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it.
No.
Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line?
I mean, that is why I came down
Line
here.
go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
I did come down here for the Adventure Line. Wasn't expecting it to turn out like this, though. Oh my gosh. All your friends, like the baby cutout and this mannequin, and oh god. And the thing, oh hey, I think I know exactly which pencil sharpener this is. Yeah, that's the funny thing, is I think I recognized about all of these things from where they are in the game. Oh boy, they put the fern in a chair. That's great. All right, let's see where this goes.
Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
raw assets. Engine import.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Wait, what?
It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this.
I don't think that was in the original.
If we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Where's this going? It's kind of ominous.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket.
Oh, no.
That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
Oh no!
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does?
It
Surely
dispenses
you don't need me to
candy?
spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
No, I don't want to.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait.
Well, now I want to know what happens if you don't destroy the bucket.
How does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give
I don't
the
want to be in
fans what
here.
they want. Hurry and...
Well then.
The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Well then.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Oh, that's not here this time. Or is it in the other one? No, that was it. That's weird. Alright.
Stanley clutched the bucket.
Tempted to go back and see what happens if you destroy the bucket, but I think I want to go through a few more with the bucket before we do that. Like, I haven't actually gone back and done the original, I don't know if the original is the right way to put it, but,
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers.
Oh,
if I
right.
did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
Aw. Alright. But, yeah, I
Coming
haven't
to
actually,
Stanley's, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
done this one yet, so let's give this a shot. Can we go in here? Yeah. I think that's different. Oh, what is
You found one
this?
of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Well then. That was a moment. Here's the two. Oh, can you go back that way? Go in here? I can go in here. I can't remember what you do in here. Other than this elevator, which I think does nothing. I can just whisper to Stanley. Yeah, it just... You just go in and it plays music for a bit.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Alright, so that hasn't changed. Although the description of it has, now that I have a bucket. I think this piano was here before, but it doesn't seem like I can play it.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Well, I guess he couldn't possibly know that, so...
2845.
Yep. Stanley doesn't know that, so he can't do anything.
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Hey, look, it's another one.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? What about Stanlerines?
Oh, I haven't. I'll have to
Yes,
try that next
I
time.
think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
I didn't see that. If I can still punch it in.
Eight.
Oh. Well then. I guess I can still do that. But, let's see. here.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Oh. Whoa.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
That one has some fun stuff in it, but we'll save it for another time.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Gotta say, I do like what they did with the visuals. They have made a few changes, upgrades, additions, whatever. Oh. Oh, I didn't think of that, but the door's already closed now, so I have to keep that in mind.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs.
Where is
The
it?
bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Where's my desk? Neat. I'm sure there's just a billion little Easter eggs that you could find if you poked around, looked around at these long enough. But yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind. Go through this again. Fire.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it.
Into the bucket.
His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket.
Wait, that's his
tighter.
pirate.
His one friend in the entire world.
Oh god.
At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Nice. 427. There's 5. I know there's a few buttons. Numbered buttons. I seem to remember them not actually doing anything. I don't think you can actually get to one of them right now. Yeah. Whatever. I'm sure they don't actually do any. They used to not do anything. Maybe they do something now.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the
Yeah, that
kind
sounds
of
about
life
right.
they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth.
What?
Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket.
Well, this is new.
No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket.
I don't think you can throw the bucket.
Eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Oh, that was a twist.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
All right, now I want to find out what happens if you go back upstairs.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Got my bucket.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
What? Trust the completionist instinct? When objects have appeared across the office, synergize our resources to the retrieval. There are many questions. There was no memo from management. What is this? Oh, it's about the collectibles. You tell you spotted one. What makes them float in the air? Who took these pictures of them? Figlies? Who's in employee 416. Okay. So I'll have to remember to look out for 416. The office 416. Yeah, I don't know. This is all very weird. .421 building a bridge. Artist rendering. By floating. Magnets? Magic? Quarterly success? Training exercise. Can we sell them? Obviously. Should we make them employees? Interns? Yes, maybe. Why do they kind of look like 427? Oh boy. So 416 and 421 might have clues on where to find more of these. Retrieve Chris's remains from the warehouse. Excuse me? We need more planks. Produce one plank to allow ease of access past fence. Oh. Yeah, Oh, I wonder if there's one out in the... I wonder if there's one floating out in the, over the warehouse. Oh, okay. Places to search. So, yeah, I found the one inside the sequel exhibit. I found the one nearby the fireplace. I found the one in the smelly place. Okay, somewhere both red and blue. Something to do with stairs. A large room with lots of boxes. Okay, so maybe the large room with lots of boxes. Maybe there's like the warehouse. Yeah, maybe. Like, I know there's way more endings than there are these collectibles, unless there's actually more than 6 of them, but is this some kind of game? So I'm thinking one might be in the warehouse. Stairs. I didn't see one going up or down the stairs earlier to the boss's office, so I wonder if it's... I think there's an area where you have to climb up stairs repeatedly, so it might be over there. Somewhere both red and blue. I know there's a part where they give you red and blue doors. So you might have to poke around in there. That's my guesses, but none of those are going to be on this path, I think, so... Just tell us something will happen. This investigation is really feel pointless, to be honest. Very weird. The red-blue door, I think, is if you like, if you are in the warehouse and you jump off onto the railway to like just completely ignore what the narrator is doing, is then he's like, Stanley entered the red door, and you keep entering the blue door, and finally he's just like, screw you. Oh, maybe. I guess I could check, because I think as long as you don't actually go...
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet.
He said
simply
already.
Because I have no remaining stickers. Coming to a staircase.
Check. I think as long as you don't go through the door.
Office.
Aha! There's one down
Okay,
here.
I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley?
One of the
What
things
name
did
better
call them
encapsulates
Figlies.
the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1. Let me
Numbers
sit
go
on
up.
it. I'm sure it will come to me.
But I don't actually want to go through that door, so we'll go back up. This time, do the opposite.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
Yeah.
Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Okay. Go down.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again.
What?
The bucket said nothing.
Okay.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over.
All right.
Wow, he said. The number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent.
Doesn't seem to
This
do
was a
anything.
shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
All right, it doesn't seem to be actually doing anything at this point.
Eight.
All right. Well, that was a little anticlimactic, but still pretty funny. I wonder.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly. A hint of regret nagged in the back of Stanley's mind. Should he demonstrate the number 3 for the bucket again?
Sure, why not?
No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
I feel like this game is baiting me into, like, doing something just completely nonsensical. There's going to be absolutely no result from this. Like, sure, go press the button again, see if something happens.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears, and the whole time he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator. Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Well, the only thing I know to do is turn around and go back up. Oh, we're not even getting a narration this time.
Said
maybe.
Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over.
What?
He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to
Wait,
him
what is happening?
and why he felt
I think we're
so
still going up
alive when
further.
pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. it would get to see the world react to this discovery of
Where are we
Stanley.
going?
And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
Oh God, what is this?
For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life.
All right, apparently we're about to go on stage and perform. Talk about the number 3. Tonight, live on stage. Stanley from the Terrible. Terrible. The man, the process, the myth, the legend, the parable. Storyteller. World's first sentient machine. Oh boy. Great conversation with Alexander the Great. 3s. Yes, 3s. 3s are important.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
Remember where you came from, your co-workers. Shockingly three-dimensional character. Three again, Stanley story. I played the demo. I went to the mind control facility and all I got was this lousy sticker. Wishing you were here. Aloha from the Freedom Ending. Alright. Dude, who came up with pizza? Some weird,
There was no one here. Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really
means to press
the number
3 on the keypad over and over.
He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure. And in that moment, Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously.
3.
There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference.
What is this?
There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
Well, that was kind of depressing.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
Oh, right. 416 and 421 are the ones we're looking for, so... Let's see any clues in here. 421 might know something. Fun mug. Figurines, though. Alright, I think one of them is going to be in the warehouse area, so we can try going there.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's a comical sort of tragedy, but, you know.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Oh no, we're
Stanley
disagreeing
took
with the
door in his
bucket
hand
again.
to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
I'm wondering if this, lots of boxes in here. Ooh. Ooh. What is this? Get up there. Climb this thing? Hold on a second. Ah.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us
Figure
can.
and Marines. Okay, so I think in order to not fall to my death, I think I have to go back in this little tunnel here. What's this? This is new. I thought it was just gonna lead me back up to the cargo lift area, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why there's a whole bunch of audio cassettes here. Or whatever they are. Lost cat. There is a reward. Gene. Boxes and boxes of this stuff. And a player.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number...
Who is this?
I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the
What?
less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up.
What?
No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
Well then, that was a thing. Okay. I think that was one of the most disturbing moments I've seen in this game.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
Yeah, whatever.
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together.
Oh, what's this thing? I remember there's an... I don't know if it's an order
Stanley
or a...
hung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers
What?
really all be gone?
I think there was an order that you had to hit the monitors in and it did something. I don't remember that one though. But I think go this way because I think I know where the last
Stanley
figurine
clutched the
is.
bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it no? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him.
That is a
It
little
should have
weird.
alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk.
Yeah.
But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact.
It's also not
He
going to
was
think about
firmly
the fact that
convinced
he's
the
actually going to
bucket
go
had
up the
spoken
cargo
to him,
lift.
And he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Nope. So yeah, I think...
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point.
Oh.
Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point.
It
Which,
would?
if that's true, well, my goodness. I think we have to do something about it.
Oh God, what is about to
This
happen?
misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Okay. Do not stand on this side of the fence. Oh God, what is this? Is this
Now
a
then,
bucket?
I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Yes.
Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket?
My God. Some Who Wants to Be a Millionaire type music on here. Yes?
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation
Oh, come
of a bucket,
on.
not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket?
One of these has to be a bucket, right?
Correct. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
No?
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be
All right.
honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for
Oh,
you.
screw
Thank you
you.
for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one. Is this a bucket?
That's the same.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
What do you... What? No! What?
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
What?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
I think anything is possible. Even nothing.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game.
Oh no.
Okay, here we go.
No. No, don't erase.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything
Oh.
disappear? Wait,
Erased
everything a
everything.
bucket?
Everything was a bucket.
every single thing in the game was a bucket.
Oh god.
My God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets.
Well,
Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
well, the bad news is I don't think that's a passing grade for knowing whether or not something is a bucket. The good news is apparently we're not buckets, so that's something, I suppose.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him.
Well, we didn't get the red and blue doors.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Now I'm wondering if maybe one of the other...
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him. telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
One of the other endings
And here
has
it
red and
was.
blue doors
Had the
now.
bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
I could also
Stanley
not
took
take the
door on his
bucket,
left
but that
to
seems
go
blasphemous.
back to the meeting room,
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him.
Nope.
It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Nope.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke.
Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket.
Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is.
Oh,
It's
boy.
right here. Let's take a look.
What is this gonna be?
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies?
What?
And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes.
Yeah? Wait.
Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing
What is this
50
drawing?
to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor.
What?
Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
I'm gonna pass on that one.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys.
What?
Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian.
Oh, God.
An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter
God.
and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
After
question
all,
that.
with each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence.
The
and who
what?
very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them.
Okay, this got
Godspeed,
weird.
And may Earth reign supreme.
Oh, okay.
Hey, goodness, this video is
With a little
outdated,
local
isn't it?
58 there at the
no matter.
end.
I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the 2 doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Okay. Oh, God. What is even happening anymore? Can't jump off.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous.
God, I hope
How
not.
absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
I hope not. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. I don't even know what door to go in now. He doesn't even seem to care about the doors anymore.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Yeah, you know what? I thought I heard another door open. Maybe it was just those 2 doors. Yeah, you know what? Whatever. I'll try the door on the left.
No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone.
Really?
Did not even look at the instructional video. I think this is all covered very clearly.
Wait,
There's
what?
no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud? Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
Okay.
What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point. A dramatic display of remarkable
Comedic timing.
wit, which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and watch that instructional video again.
Are we gonna...
Yes, surely that will help me improve my...
Okay, for a second I thought we were gonna have to watch it again.
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal. I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
Well, this went from being a sad ending to a crazily bizarre ending. Oh, man. Alright, well, wasn't
Stanley
that one.
decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support. A good bucket. A strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
Just to get a quick
Stanley
ending.
clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
I don't think this is going to do anything, but
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room.
Just to see
go
what
somewhere
happens.
else. The cargo.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
now that's the sad ending. All right, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try going without the bucket. Scary, I know, but if I go without the bucket, I might be able to get to the room with the red and blue doors, which I think is where the last figurine is.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Oh, I missed the phone. I'll have to do that next time.
The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps too majestic.
But
Like
it
a
does-
combination of a much smaller version and a much larger version of this exact room.
It does
It
seem
all
like
made Stanley uncomfortable, and he started to bleed a little.
that
This made him
sounds new.
smile.
What?
At last, proof that he
Oh.
was human.
Fair enough, but
But eager to get
It
back
seems
to business,
like,
Stanley took the first open door on his left.
it seems like you can play the original version of these by just not picking up the bucket. That's fine. I'm going to be
Stanley
going
was
through
so
this a few
bad
more
at following
times.
Directions. It's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Right.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others?
Yep.
Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you?
Yep.
Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side.
Red and blue
Give me a
doors.
chance.
Aha.
Now listen carefully, this is important. And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So,
Of course.
instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Of course. So yeah, that ended in absolutely nothing. Try going through the red door this time.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I want it to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped.
Infinite
And
hallways.
I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Both doors lead to the same thing.
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Yeah. This one gets a little uncomfortable at the end. Oh, that's cool.
No, wait. Where are you going? Right. Where were we?
What? The hallway. What's in the hallway?
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Alright, okay. But, yeah, the one thing I was curious about earlier is...
Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
I remembered this part, which is why it seemed weird that he was, able to fall down the infinite hole and not, take fall damage. But I will write that off as a,
No! What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. You are going to stay here, aren't you?
I just like going back and forth into this hallway. I'm not gonna say anything else. Okay.
You heard me before, didn't you? You will die! What about this isn't getting through to you?
I mean, if we remember...
Stanley, let me stay here! Don't take this from me!
I'm not Stanley.
Please,
I'm the
Stanley,
player.
think about what you're doing. No! Oh, thank God. You lived. You had me worried there for a moment.
We actually
Now,
walk slower.
Can we please get back to the other room? There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can.
Nope.
If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
Stop moving, huh? Oh, I can fix that. I can make it.
Go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
But you have to make it so he can't move anymore.
No. No, no. What are you doing, Stanley? Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you?
Weird.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me? Yes. Perhaps you can. Perhaps you finally see what I'm talking about.
Nope.
My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it?
No,
You were
this is just an
literally willing
ending.
to kill yourself to keep me from being happy.
Except
Am
I don't
reading the
die.
situation correctly?
Nope. I don't die. This is just Stanley.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
What happens if you go back at this point? I think after a while, he's just like, no, you're just gonna go. This is... I don't believe you anymore. I know what you're gonna do.
Do you actually want to stay alive? Or are you just teasing me?
Admittedly, yes. Can't remember if they originally made him move slower in the original game.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. Hmm. So now I wonder if it's just a matter of doing everything with the bucket and doing everything without the bucket, and then something else will happen. What the?
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone?
Oh,
I would
really?
love nothing more than to revisit the figurines.
Yeah,
Just
sure,
one
why
more
not?
time.
Also, sorry if the game gets choppy again. When Stanley found the collectibles. This box is for. So this part's the same as before, but there's a new set of stairs going down.
Here's where it all began. The
You find
first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
I don't know. Now we have 7.
And here was a second Stanley. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
All right, then. I have 8 of 6.
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
That's funny. It's this one.
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, behind the boss's office. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
What?
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
What? I don't think this is right. Bunch of boxes. Oh, hey, it's this thing.
This was the 5th mini stand, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Oh, yeah. This is some early internet jankiness. Of course.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
So go ahead, keep going this way. Yeah.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figly and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
And which I have now 12 of. Okay. Oh, I guess this doesn't matter. You are in the present.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
Well, that was an abrupt ending.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here and keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Oh, God. All right, back to the past. Are we going to kill like 6 more of these?
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
There's some kind of weird running commentary on... Whoa. Oop, up. Was that supposed to happen? I don't think that was supposed to happen. Or maybe it was? I don't know anymore.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but
I think that wasn't supposed to actually happen.
It's those figurines, those Figlers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one.
Oh no.
Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Yeah, it was happening when I was trying to go back up to the vent where the cargo lift area is. And I just, yeah, I think it didn't actually complete this run, so it's thinking I still need to do it. Yeah, so here, I'll run through this.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Why is it gone? What is happening?
And here was a second Stanley. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom.
Oh no, this is weird.
I'll be honest, back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
I'm guessing the game did remember that I collected the first 13?
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
What happens if I go this way now?
No. Under the stairs was the 4th place you found a Figurine, not the 3rd. Well, I guess perhaps I shouldn't be surprised. Memories like these are so precious and so cherished that they all just sort of blend together, don't they? You know what? If Under the Stairs feels like the 3rd place you found a collectible, then who am I?
Now I have 14, and I'm not sure I was supposed to be able to get 14. Because,
let's see. What came next?
Yeah.
Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room.
Because this one...
I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Yeah, this is one that I didn't actually get the first time, but... Yeah, so now I have the original 6, and then the 6 again, except I managed to get both of them and this one that was supposed to be the replacement for the one I didn't get. Yeah, I would imagine you're supposed to get 18, but now I might get 19.
This was the 5th mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
I gotta watch this video again. I'm just curious what's gonna happen because, like, what if the game doesn't actually have a graphic for 19?
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Alright. Yeah, because originally it was going back up to that vent, was where I, like, somehow fell through the floor or something.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
So now we go in here.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
And the loading screen doesn't work. Or it gets stopped.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Then
okay,
this
yes,
one.
The room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
So, straight here. I should go up to... Okay. Yeah, I think last time, just for some reason, I didn't go up the stairs, and I just ended up falling to the floor.
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes, I love that video.
Now we get this one again.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
All right, now... Okay. So... Yeah, I wondered about that, but then also it might make me start this whole section over again, and I don't want to do that. So I think I'm not going to risk falling to my death in the cargo lift. Especially when I can get this other potentially weird thing where I get more of these figurines than I'm supposed to have been able to get.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Oh, I can't go back that way. I could also go back this way. Oh no, I guess I can't. I guess that's closed off now. So I can't get 20. Yeah, it does a little bit. Some Superliminal definitely reminds me of this kind of game in many ways.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it?
Now I have 18. This next one's going to be...
This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Apparently you can get 19. Back out the exit.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more memories.
Well,
Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
well, these both think the same thing. And this is just
And
my
before
cubicle.
everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions, he would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
And then it reloads. Nice. The fighter's using the narrator as his mouthpiece again. Maybe. I almost kind of got the vibe there that, like, you're going to find out that,
The viscosity in here is absolutely overwhelming. 1,000? You people have got to be nuts.
What?
How can you stand this much bumpscosity?
I forgot I did that. Alright, fine. Wait, no. That was only set to 100. Screw you. Now it's set to 1,000. You know what? No. 76 bumpscosity. Oh, he just commented on the bumpscosity meter. But I was also wondering, I was like, I almost thought for a second they were gonna like have it so like Stanley eventually becomes the narrator and then creates Stanley because he's tired of making choices and something else weird happens. I don't know if it's gonna do anything after this next run, but we'll do at least one more. And we'll take the bucket this time.
The embrace of an old friend, a weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I think it's time to see if those buttons do anything this time.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet.
Can't help it.
Simply because I have no remain. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I haven't had the one where I try to take control of the machine. I haven't done, well, I sort of did the Adventure Line one. I haven't done the one where I pick up the phone. Yeah, that's the one I'm going to do now. Well, I haven't done it yet, but I also haven't done the escape one. But I think I'm going to do I'm going to have the explosion
in
one.
the manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Because there's also some that I haven't done, I've only done with the bucket, or I've only done without the bucket. So I would have to go back and...
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
So I'll have to go back and figure out which ones I've done so far without the bucket and which ones I've done with the bucket, and then potentially try and go through and do all the rest of them that I haven't done yet. Because like in the case, if you have the bucket, you can't choose the red or the blue doors. You get the bucket ending in that section.
The monitors jumped to life.
Also, these things
Stanley
are like
nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
sparking.
Everyone in
Weird.
the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What
Maybe.
kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Hello? Oh, there it goes.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Then they accidentally turned it on instead.
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Okay. This one.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world.
Well, that's
The
nice.
mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, living through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable.
I can think of worse
all
endings.
the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
The other button just goes back. It's basically just left and right. It's cycling through them. One more. I'll do one more. And then I'm going to call it a night.
The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things.
It just goes straight to this room.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
So should I do the escape or should I do the one where you pick up the phone? I get the feeling neither one of them will be what I expect them to be. So it's like it could just be anything at this point. I'll do the escape one. Or maybe we'll do both. It is not too late yet. We'll see how long it takes.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. The bucket did not react, except perhaps a tiny glow of warmth. Subtle, yes, but an unmistakable spark from somewhere deep within.
I'll have a good night. We'll have the rest of this. Well, I'll make sure that these get turned into highlights or uploaded to YouTube, so you'll be able to see them.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Well,
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
nope.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Is this going to be like the credits, but just with buckets? Yep. Frantic sip. Well then.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short
A
life?
bucket with two handles. It has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. Oh look, it's the infinite hole. Inferno bucket. Despite it all, the simple fact remains no one can control a bucket. Oh, good grief.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Uh-huh. The hanging bucket. Yes, bucket is good. Oh. I think I would be able to get to
There
that.
is something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision for...
Yeah. All right, one more. We're going to pick up the phone, and then we're going to call it up.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed.
It's like another shortened version of the original hallway. Welcome to the whiteboard ending. Yay.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Nope.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the... This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
We got here. His living room or his apartment got an upgrade from the last version of the game. Oh, Stanley, it's me, your bucket. Press G to take me to work with you.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
All right, then. What do I do? I don't actually know what I'm supposed to do here. Might be getting late. I need to call it. Oh. Of course. Let's pick up the bucket.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
That door.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Mm-hmm. Don't listen to the loud man. It's be for us to go back home.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Press R to ignore anyone else in your life except for me.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
Just letting theory to my narrator. Stanley eventually becomes the narrator theory.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Sure. Wow.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Go home to work to home to work to home.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. Oh, no. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes, the bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Well then, that was weird. All of these have been weird, but it's been fun. But I think I'm going to call it for tonight. Like I said, I'll have to go back through and figure out which ones I've gotten already, so I can get the other ones. Might have to eventually destroy the bucket and see if that does something. But we'll see what happens. But this has been fun. I am getting super tired, so I'm going to call it and go to sleep. I hope you all enjoyed watching this. And yeah, I'll see you next time.